Okay, now that we're familiar with the interface and everything, let's start getting in some files into here so we can get into editing this. So we know that we're going to be importing stuff into our bin. That's where all of our files and everything are going to live for our project. So let's start doing that now. All you have to do, go up to File, go to Import. Now, I'm going to navigate to where our balloon project is. So here's our balloon project, and I know that this is the footage. So you can see that Adobe has already created, so this is our hot air balloon, this is the project, and it's already created some Premiere preview files, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But we know that our footage, here's our footage. I'm going to import that in, and see, now you can see that I've added it to the top of my bin. So it hasn't actually been added to the timeline, hasn't been added to any of that. What we have to do to add it to there is I'm going to drag and drop that into our timeline. So you can see that I've added it to our timeline here. It has a video component and an audio component. They're linked together, so if I move one, it moves the other one. They want to keep those together for you so that it doesn't confuse you and break them apart. So now that I have that inside of here, I can either scroll or scrub through this footage by as fast as I want with this little marker up here at the top, and this red line is showing me where I can go through there. Or if I want to play it just straight through, I can use the project panel up here and just play. And it's going to play through the footage with the audio and everything. So, alright, great. So we have our one clip in here. Now, let's say I wanted to edit this some. And in fact, let's say I wanted to edit out, see where this guy's holding up his coffee cup right there? I don't necessarily want that in there. That doesn't look cool. So I'm going to see, where does he put that coffee cup down? Okay, right there. So right at that moment, that's where my real footage, that's where I want that to start. Okay, so really what I want to do, just like if this was a movie that I'd shot with 35mm film, I want to cut that right there and throw away that extra part. Okay, so I could definitely do that. The problem is right now, like, look how small that is down there. I can't really even tell that that's, that those two spaces, like, where exactly I'm working on. I need to zoom in to that certain area. What I like to do, there are other ways to do this. I just find the easiest ways to use the quick keys, the plus and minus keys on your keyboard. Usually they're next to the backspace. And so if you hit those plus and minus keys, plus is going to zoom in, minus is going to zoom out. So you can see that now I can zoom into that certain spot, and I know that, yeah, I'm going to cut that right there. So let's do that. In the tool panel, which should be right next to your timeline, you should see all the tools that we can use for editing this clip inside the timeline. And one of those, right in the middle usually, is the razor tool. You can click on that, and now you can see that my icon has changed to a little razor. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click right where I want that to cut, which is right on that red line. I'm going to cut right there, and you can see now that's split this movie into two separate clips. I now have the beginning part, so if I click back to my my normal selection tool, you can see that it still looks exactly the same in here, but I've cut it into two separate pieces. So now this section where he's holding up his coffee cup, what I can do now is I can just delete that away. Delete on the keyboard. So now if I play this through, it does start out with about 1.5 seconds of just blank black footage, but now I have my nice cut, the beginning of my clip is cut out. So what I can do, obviously I don't want a big thing of blank footage here in the middle. What I can do is I can either grab this whole clip and just sort of drag this forward, or what I can do, if I'm being lazier about that, I can right click on the space in between and say ripple delete. Now what ripple delete means is if there were other pieces of footage out here to the right over here, what I wouldn't have to do is drag each one or select them all and drag them forward. The ripple delete is going to move everything forward to the left, that empty space. Okay, so I have the very first cut off spot of my footage. Now, let's say I'm going to scrub through this and see where do I want to make my second cut. Okay, at that point we're just sort of showing a lot of blue sky and everything. Really the most interesting stuff that's in there is sort of back farther. So I'm going to say, yeah, I want to cut it right there, right when we sort of get to this big panoramic view of all the balloons showing off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a second cut here. Okay. So now that I have this one cut, I can move this clip off to the side. We can use that. So now I have this one clip, and I have this one. Now, what's nice is I haven't actually cut anything or destroyed anything by doing this. What I can do is, you can see where if I grab the edge of this clip, I can still move this back. Like, I still have my entire clip here in the timeline. I've just made that cut right there where I decided I didn't want it, but I can move that back. I just have an instance of this clip over here. But what maybe what I want to do now is look at the whole clip and say, oh, you know what? You know what's nice is, right when I'm going back to the other side of this, that was nice that I get back and get to see all the balloons. So maybe like from here back, that would be a good clip to have. So I could go over and I could cut this with the razor. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to drag the edge of this back until I get to the point where I have the clip that I want. So you can use those edges and move in and out clips from what you have. So now I'm going to drag it back over here, and I'm going to say, great, now I have this clip of it going to the right, and then it clicks back over and has the two very interesting points of my of the one single clip that I had. Now, I'm going to talk about one more thing before we end this video. I know it's going a little bit long, but let's talk about transitions, because right now, these two clips, if I play this, it just cuts. It's a hard cut from one to the other. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want it to fade from one cut to the other. So what I'm going to do is, over here on the left-hand side, you'll see a tab that says Effects. We talked a little bit about it in the interface video. And I'm going to click on Video Effects. And actually, nope, I'm going to do Video Transitions. So inside Video Transitions, I'm going to use one called Dissolve. There's a lot of these that you could go through. It's all just transitions between cuts or at the ends of clips. So, but this one, Cross Dissolve, I really like that one. So all we have to do is, I'm going to click and hold and drag that one and drop it in between my clips. So all I did was drag and drop that there, and now when I play this, you can see that there's a nice fade from one to the other. It meshes them together for that few seconds. But what's nice is, I haven't actually changed anything. I can remove this cross dissolve. So if I select that, I can hit delete and I can remove that if I wanted to. I'm going to leave it. But then also what I can do is, I can, if I zoom in a little bit, see where it still gives me those handles again? It gives me those brackets off to the side. If I decide that I want to make this a little bit longer, like I want that cross dissolve to really take its time, I'm going to hit play, and you can see now it takes like almost 2 full seconds to fade from one part to the other. So maybe I like that better, or maybe not. Maybe I want it to just be a tiny bit. Yeah, now it's quick. Okay, so now that we have some basic editing done, we're resizing clips and using transitions and stuff, click on that next video and we'll talk about how we can create titles for this, and we can export it with the media encoder.